Hey guys, welcome back. BTCKR here, and we're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. It is the week of August 25th, 2022. Current challenge, Rebirth Raven. It is a 1-week repeat requiring Black Adam, Harley Quinn, and Lex Luthor to complete all the stages. They are available in the store at the cheapest level, silver, bronze, and bronze respectively, which is what we like. We've always said challenge characters are a great entry point for newer players, and the only thing stopping them is really having characters that are strong enough, because really the principle should be that the required characters aren't going to be hard to get. So Rebirth Raven has a passive called Demonic Pact. On tag-in, Raven siphons her opponent's power if it is more than hers. Second part of her passive is if 2 Rebirth characters are on her team, she receives 3 times more power per critical hit. She's got 1300 attack and 1350 health. Last available October 28th, 2021. She doesn't have the top stats, but they are definitely good and high. And the more I play with her, the more I think Rebirth Raven is the best Raven skin in the game. She may not be the strongest, but her passive is so much fun to use. Stealing power it's great. So let's get the other part out of the way. The second part of her passive applies to hits against her, and it doesn't give 3 times the power, even though it says it does. It definitely something less, but it does boost how much power she generates. And it's also a little bit ambiguous. For the longest time, I didn't know whether that was because her hits that she was dishing out or what she was taking. But really, it almost doesn't matter, because that power generation takes away from the better part of her passive, which is the siphoning power. And so here's the interesting thing. There's lots of passives and abilities that you struggle to take advantage of, and even when you get them to work, it isn't worth the effort that it took. The 2 obvious candidates for this are Kandak Black Adam or Amikami Catwoman, where they have a combo under passive. Those passives kind of suck. Rebirth Raven is great. Now, when you siphon off power, there's, I think, a few things that you need to watch out for. One is Astro Harness, which offers immunity to power drain when the invulnerability is active. So if your opponent's got the invulnerability animation, you're not going to drain their power. And 2, LexCorp gear, which does something funny. So even though it's supposed to reverse power drain, it sort of does, because your opponent gets power, but you still actually get power too. So you just need to be fast enough triggering your special before the opponent does as soon as you tag in. I think the hardest part of Rebirth Raven is her passive makes us want to use her as the special specialist, but it's difficult because it really relies on the opponent having power to steal. What you don't want to do is give her power generating gear, because if you do, her passive is wasted. It makes it much less likely that when you tag her in, her power is going to be less than the opponent's. So you don't want to give her power generating gear, but you also don't want to have her on a power generating team. So with Wonder Woman 600, that's a definite no-no. With animated Harley Quinn, also a no-no. The problem is, if you don't give her power generating gear, you don't always get power quickly. You need to wait. So she gets to be a secondary special specialist. And you still need a more traditional primary special specialist with Tantu Totem and Master's Death card. She can act as a bit of a pseudo tank against specials, because even though she's not really meat shield, what she can do is steal the opponent's power, which is what the most dangerous kind of damage against you can be. So on a team like this, so what you're seeing right now is a team with Static, Raven, and Hawkgirl. You don't even need Astro Harness, because if you're playing it right, the other team really isn't doing any specials against you. You just need to plan well enough that if there's a chance that someone on the other team is tagging with 3 bars, you have Raven ready to steal all 3 bars of power. And that means that you have to have Hawkgirl, really, because on a team that relies on tagging in and out when you need to, any kind of restriction on that, whether it's the cooldown clock, that makes it harder to really use this team effectively. And you don't need to get stuck in the idea that you need to even do damage with their specials. Sometimes it's almost enough that she can just steal it away. And so the real necessary members of this team that you're seeing are Rebirth Raven and Hawkgirl. Static is sort of the main specialist. And the reason why that's so effective is when he doesn't do a huge amount of damage with the special one, but what he does is stun guaranteed every time, and he's got multiple hits. So what that does is it almost guarantees that if we tag him in first, by the time he's finished his special one and the opponent is stunned, they've got a bar of power for us to steal. And Rebirth Raven's right there to steal it. And because they're stunned, we're stacking Necron Scythe and Cloak of Destiny in order to maximize the damage she can do. And we've got a playlist of teams where we've used her in multiplayer teams. It's linked in the description. So what that brings us to 118 weeks total of the same pattern. That's 2 complete runs of a 43-week cycle that first appeared May 2020, and we're into the 32nd week of the 3rd cycle. If the pattern holds, which we expect it should, it's going to be Classic Scorpion next week. And a reminder, there's 23 challenge characters that are still missing. This week's multiplayer reward is Time Capsule, which becomes Quake Engine when it's maxed out. Bleh. This is not my week. When it's maxed out, there's a 40% chance to power steal 100% of a Special 2's cost. Special and damage over times do plus 50% damage against an enemy with less than 1 bar of power. If you're the Joker, it will also increase enemy tag cooldown by 8 seconds. And when evolved, after an applied damage over time finishes, 100% chance to re-trigger the damage over time on an active enemy. Last available January 20th this year, 2022. And that's 86 weeks in a row. So 2 complete cycles of a 31 reward sequence plus the 24th week in a new 3rd cycle. And if the pattern holds, next week should be Gingold Soda. So this is a great piece of equipment for the specialist who specializes in damage over time. So Specialist Cubed. The extra damage on specials and damage over time of plus 50% is excellent, especially when you see it on our Flashpoint team where Aquaman starts out immediately doing a special 1. So there's a good chance of getting this boost. Not a lot of teams have somebody starting in the first slot with power. Re-triggering damage over time on active enemy when the first one runs out can double the damage over time that you're dishing out. It makes it really easy to finish the Phantom Zone requirement of damage over time damage. And so the interesting thing that we've had to rethink as we use this gear more and more is that first part, the 40% chances power steal 100% of a Special 2's cost. And we used to think it was only okay because we typically didn't use Special 2 enough with damage over time specialists. There's a lot of damage over time specialists doing a Special 1. It seems like it's more the exception that does it on Special 2. But now that we've played more with Arkham Knight Catwoman, we know a lot better. So she's got a damage over time effect on her Special 2, Bleed. By using Quake Engine in the 3rd slot of the Tantu Totem Master's Death Cart gear loadout, you're giving up on power generating gear to make sure she has 2 powers on tagging, but you can totally make up for that by just doing a quick tap combo. And the benefit is you are doing boosted damage against every single opponent who has no power to start, or less than 1 bar power. And 40% of the time, on opponents who have power, you're stealing it. You just drain it, and you're going to do that boosted damage. So it's actually really good. The Joker-specific ability with this gear to keep the enemy in for an extra 8 seconds means they have 8 seconds more to take damage over time instead of tagging out and rinsing it off. And very much like Arkham Knight Catwoman's ability, this means the opponent is taking more of that damage over time. The one thing to keep in mind is that 8-second cooldown works even when Joker's not active in the fight. As long as he's on the team, he's going to slow down the other team from tagging out. In the store, we've got a couple new packs for this week. It's a Scorpion Classic bundle for $24.99. It's the pack that comes with 100,000 power credits. It's a corroborate included next week's challenge. It does not unlock in your store, so just keep that in mind. You're probably better off waiting for next week when you can get it for free by just completing the challenge once. And the other new pack for this week is the Alien Invasion pack for $24.99. It contains Lobo, Martian Manhunter, and Darkseid. It's kind of a crappy pack. It's got the lesser of the skins of any of the characters. So Lobo is the skin that's available in the store. The Martian Manhunter is a skin that has too much health and not enough attack. And Darkseid's the one that has a passive that would be better if he were bronze, because it's a shame to, in order to keep your team balanced or to make the most of the bronze characters, is to keep his attack and damage in line with them. So that means you're not going to be max promoting him. I guess the only consolation is that even though Darkseid is a challenge character, he happens to be one that is not in the rotation, that has been part of the rotation that started back in 2020. So if there's going to be any kind of value in buying a pack, it's usually for something that you couldn't get otherwise, and Darkseid would qualify for that. Other things in the store that we talked about last week: it's a second week of Ultimate Bundle Bringers of Justice. It's a second week of Ultimate Bundle Villains and Monsters. It is the 33rd week of the Survivor Pack. And it is the 38th week of the character bundle Batman Universe. And our Most Wanted pack is creeping up on a year. It's 45 weeks now that it's been there. And we've got our celebration packs. So clearly we're having a lot of fun. We're celebrating a lot. We've got the 300 Nth Metal packs for Joker, Aquaman, and Shazam that have been around for 30 weeks, except for the Aquaman pack, which has been around a couple weeks longer, 32 weeks. Our Survivor has switched over now to League of Assassins until the 7th of September, 2022. Phantom Zone is finished. Fight 62 is still broken. And last week's breakthrough for gold characters was Sinestro, Green Arrow, and Scorpion. So that means this coming weekend is probably going to be the Joker, Nightwing, and Darkseid. There's a link in the description to a Reddit thread from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. And aside from mentioning that the challenge reset glitch has been confirmed to be working on this week's Rebirth Raven challenge, we're not going to be going into the current glitches in detail this week. We do go into detail every time something significant changes, which didn't happen this week and hasn't happened for a while, but we will also do it once a month, the first week of every month, even if nothing changes. So that was our recap from August the 4th, if you want to go over that. And if you just want to learn how to do a specific glitch, there is a video tutorial for every working glitch, and it is in our playlist called Current Glitches. It's linked in the description of this video. And that's it. So thank you guys for watching, but a special thank you to our supporters and patrons on Patreon. That would be BomboBen, Console Peasant, and Edwoon at the top tier last word, Sinemac and Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Here tier, Shawn Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, Eddydoo, and Hoshi127 supporting us on the credited level, and Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer 241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Komoda.